early life trauma, and is essentially a post-traumatic stress disorder. So this has us rethink the notion of what recovery is. The standard way of looking at recovery is a person is abstinent or as close to it as he can be, and the brain tissue rejuvenates gradually over time, a couple of weeks, a couple of months, maybe a couple of years, and the brain is an organ that then recovers from being damaged by the opiate, and that's called recovery. But in our view, that's only part of the story, because not only does the brain have to revive itself after being damaged, but the early life trauma has now to be addressed. That itself is another damaged situation, and it has to be worked through by psychological means, and sometimes by things like antidepressants, anti-anxiety agents, or mood stabilizing agents. So now the recovery process goes back even before the use of the opiate or whatever the chemical was, back into the early life trauma. What happened is that as a result of that trauma is the person has a damaged self-esteem and develops a core myth, which we talked about before. Core myth is just a way a person thinks about themselves in a very negative light, but it's not just a tangential idea. It subsumes their entire thinking process, how they perceive things, how they interact with people, how they see their future, and it becomes very damaging as long as that core myth is the prominent idea in the brain. So what we have is a workshop that we provide for recovering individuals in which we look at the core myth, we examine why it got there, and eventually lower its impact and its ability to affect our decisions.